Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. The Usos. The Usos are a Samoan American professional wrestling tag team consisting of indentical twin brothers Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. They are assigned to the SmackDown brand, where they are the brand's current and longest reigning tag team champions in their first reign. Trained since childhood by their father Rikishi, the team debuted in WWE's developmental brand Florida Championship Wrestling in 2009, where they became FCW Florida Tag Team Champions. They were moved to the main roster the following year, capturing the Tag Team Championship twice in 2014, and winning the Slammy Award for Tag Team of the Year in both 2014 and 2015. In 2017, they became SmackDown Tag Team Champions for the first time and have the longest reign. Jey and Jimmy are members of the renowned Anoaʻi family. The pair were previously managed by their cousin Tamina Snuka and Jimmy's real-life wife, Naomi. Florida Championship Wrestling, 2009-2010. Jimmy Uso appeared at the Florida Championship Wrestling television tapings on November 5, accompanying Donnie Marlowe to the ring. Jimmy also appeared in a dark match prior to the FCW television tapings on November 19, defeating Titus O'Neil. The Uso brothers began 2010 by defeating the Rotundo brothers on January 14. In a clash of the generational wrestlers on February 18, the Rotundo brothers teamed up with Wes Briscoe to defeat the Usos and Donnie Marlowe. They continued their association with Marlowe at the television tapings on February 25, when he accompanied them to ringside for a victory against Titus O'Neil and Big E Langston. In March they were joined by Tamina Snuka, who began acting as their manager, and on March 13, the Usos defeated the Fortunate Sons to win the FCW Florida Tag Team Championship. They made their first title defense at the March 18 television tapings by defeating the Dude Busters to retain. They went on to successfully defend the championship against Percy Watson and Darren Young, Hunico and Tito Nieves, Skip Sheffield and Darren Young, and the Dude Busters, who they defeated by disqualification when Tamina pulled the referee out of the ring to stop him from counting the pinfall. On June 3, the Usos lost the Florida Tag Team Championship to Los Aviadores. Feud with the Hart Dynasty, 2010-2011. On the May 24, 2010 episode of Raw, the Usos and Tamina made their debut as heels by attacking the unified WWE Tag Team Champions, the Hart Dynasty. The following week, Raw general manager Bret Hart stated that he had signed them to contracts. That night, the trio cut a promo, stating that they were looking for respect for their families. They were interrupted and attacked by the Hart Dynasty, who were seeking revenge for the surprise attack the previous week. The Usos attempted to attack the Hart Dynasty again on the June 7 episode of Raw, but the Harts were ready and gained the upper hand. The Usos made their in-ring debut for the brand on the June 17 episode of Superstars, defeating Goldust and Mark Henry. 3 days later they made their pay-per-view debut by losing to the Hart Dynasty in a 6-person mixed tag team match at Fatal 4-Way. The Usos were scheduled to face the Hart Dynasty on the June 28 episode of Raw, but the match never started as the Usos instead attacked the Harts. When they were entering the ring, the Usos defeated the Hart Dynasty for the first time in a 6-person mixed tag team match on the July 12 episode of Raw. When Jey pinned Smith, the Usos challenged the Harts for the Unified Tag Team Championship at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, but were unsuccessful. On the July 26 episode of Raw, Jey Uso went against Randy Orton in his first singles match on the brand in a losing effort. They received another shot for the Tag Team Championship at Night of Champions in a Tag Team Turmoil match where they eliminated both the Hart Dynasty and the team of Vladimir Kozlov and Santino Marella before being eliminated by Mark Henry and Evan Bourne. On the December 6 episode of Raw, the Usos were in a Fatal 4-Way tag match and were eliminated, but Tamina stayed in the corner of Morella and Kozlov upon the winning of the WWE Tag Team Championship. As a result, she turned face and left the Usos Tag Team Championship pursuits 2011-2013. On April 26, 2011, both Usos were drafted to the SmackDown brand as a part of the 2011 supplemental draft. On the June 2 episode of Superstars, the Usos turned face when they competed against the Core in a losing effort. Throughout June 2011, the Usos continued to complete victories with Gabriel and Slater in tag team matches, while managing to defeat them in 2 six-man tag matches while partnering once with Ezekiel Jackson and once with Trent Barreta. As of the June 24 episode of SmackDown, the Usos have been performing the Shiva Tau, a traditional Samoan war dance, as part of their ring entrance, using the dance to display their strength and energize themselves, which stopped when they turned heel in 2016. On the July 29 episode of SmackDown, the Usos challenged David Otunga and Michael McGillicuddy for the WWE Tag Team titles, but were defeated. The Usos then began appearing on the 5th season of NXT in September 2011, by delivering post-match attacks on the team of Darren Young and JTG. The Usos then went on to defeat Young and JTG on the September 27 episode of NXT Redemption. However, just like how the Usos debuted on NXT, they were attacked after the win by another debuting tag team, Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex, and the Usos were defeated by Hawkins and Rex the next week. In the following months and into 2012, the Usos exchanged wins with Hawkins and Rex on NXT, while continually losing to Primo and Epico on SmackDown. They also feuded with JTG, who had become Tamina's boyfriend. In March 2012, the Usos began a feud with Darren Young and Titus O'Neil, after they mocked the Usos pre-match Shiva Tau. Although the Usos beat Young and O'Neil in tag team matches, they were continually defeated in singles matches. On the final episode of the 5th season of NXT on June 13, the Usos defeated Johnny Curtis and Michael McGillicuddy. The Usos then started a feud with The Ascension on the August 15 episode of NXT, with a match between the two tag teams ending in The Ascension being disqualified. The Ascension then conducted a post-match attack on the Usos. On the August 29 episode of NXT, the Usos called out the Ascension, but the Ascension ambushed the Usos and again delivered a beatdown. On the September 5 episode of NXT, the Ascension defeated the Usos. The Usos then teamed with Richie Steamboat to lose to the Ascension and Cassius Ohno on the October 17 episode of NXT. The Usos feud with the Ascension was cut short when Cameron was released from WWE. At WrestleMania 28, the Usos unsuccessfully challenged for the WWE Tag Team Championship in a triple threat dark match against champions Primo and Epico, and Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel when the defending champions retained their titles. At No Way Out, the Usos competed with Primo and Epico, Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd, and the Primetime Players in a fatal four-way tag team match to determine the number one contenders for the WWE Tag Team Champions, and were unsuccessful. On the July 16 episode of Raw, the Usos made an appearance dancing with their father, Rikishi, after Rikishi made a blast from the past return defeating Heath Slater. On the September 7 episode of SmackDown, the Usos were unsuccessful in winning a triple threat tag team match for no number one contendership for the WWE Tag Team titles against the Primetime Players and Primo and Epico. Thank you for watching, brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.